Hey everybody, this is NCSO7 and welcome back to another review video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Persona 3 FES. FES specifically, so not the original or portable or anything like that. Just FES. Also keep in mind that I have not played the answer. I've heard things about it that are pretty negative, so I did not really play that. I only played the journey, but hopefully that doesn't matter too much since both of them are pretty similar anyways. Aside from story. But anyways, with all that talking out of the way, let's jump into this, starting off with the presentation. Now, Persona 3 was kind of the start to the series. I mean, yes, Persona 1 and 2 do exist, but those games are fairly different from the Persona games that we have now, especially Persona 1. I've already made a review on that, but needless to say, that game really wasn't that good. And Persona 2 I still have yet to play. Pretty soon I will be. But Persona 3 is where the series really started to start with the new style of having it be a switch between one part of the game where it's a social simulator where you talk to people, raise up social links, and raise your social stats and just do stuff like that. And then there's also the nighttime stuff where you explore this game's version of Mementos, Tartarus. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself with the gameplay stuff. But honestly, this was the first game that started this off, and honestly, visually, the game still looks really good. It has its style. It obviously doesn't have as much style as Persona 4, especially 5, but for being released in 2006 on the PlayStation 2, it's still pretty good. It still looks nice. I don't really have much of an issue with it. I do think that some character portraits could have been fixed in, possibly in a remaster. Some of it looks better than others. There's some sections where they look pretty good, and then there's other sections that are kind of yeah, that could be touched up. Character models are fine, but really it comes down to the portraits themselves, which are very, very nice looking. But honestly, presentation-wise, I don't really have much to say other than it's really, really good. And now onto the story. Now, I'm not really going to talk too much about the story, because honestly, just play the game for yourself. But I will give you a bit of a brief idea. Basically, you move into a new town, and you eventually find out that your first day getting there, things get weird. People turn into coffins, and there's this kid that makes you sign contracts. You eventually find out that there's actually a secret hour in a day known as the Dark Hour, which is when the shadows come about, and normal people are trapped in their coffins. However, some of them actually are not in coffins, or are actually able to fight using Persona, where you shoot yourself in the head, and then you have a Persona come out, which is very funny, maybe. And like I said before, you eventually find this place known as Tartarus, which is basically this huge tower that is deemed to be the source of the shadows, and thus you have to get up the entire tower while defeating various shadows. There is more to it, especially later, but I will definitely say the story is pretty good, though my one main issue is that the game's story really doesn't start picking up until the fall season. Pretty much everything before fall just feels kind of meh. It's not a bad story at all, but it feels kind of slow. But once it does start picking up, it really starts getting good. But honestly, story-wise, it's very, very good. Again, only talking about the journey. But now moving to the gameplay. So, I already mentioned it before, where this game was the first of the Persona games to actually introduce the split gameplay, where you have the social simulator aspects, where you raise up social links, talking to people in your school or around the town, and also doing things to improve your social stats, which are only 3 of in this game, which is nice, but they take to level up. But other than that, there's really not much to the social aspect, but then there's the nighttime section where you go into the Dark Hour and you explore Tartarus. Now, basically Tartarus, if you play Persona 5, it's basically upwards Mementos, basically. You basically have to climb this huge tower fighting shadows, and that's pretty much it. There honestly really isn't that much to say. Tartarus is pretty much there. There isn't really that much interesting about it, but to be honest, I don't know. I like it. It is kind of, maybe it's just me, but I like Tartarus. I don't know, maybe it's the music, maybe it's just the visuals or something like that, but I don't really mind climbing it that much. I will definitely say, though, Tartarus is way better than all the Persona 4 dungeons. Those dungeons felt really weird. Why is a bathhouse, more than 2 floors? That doesn't make much sense. But this game, it makes a lot of sense. Tartarus is this huge labyrinth that you have to climb up, which can get kind of stale after a while, but I honestly never really got that tired of it. And of course, the battle system. It's the same sort of thing that we'd see in Persona 4 and 5. It is obviously different here, as some things are not here that would be in later games. Specifically, the ability to control your party members somewhat. You see, you can't control your party members in the game, though there is a button in the battle menu that does allow you to do them, change their tactics. So maybe if they want to conserve SP, then you can do that. It isn't a big deal at all, because usually the party members' AI is usually pretty good. They know what to do. Sometimes it could be a little bit annoying. Maybe don't use Mary Karen so much, Mitsuru. That'd be really nice. But anyways, the gameplay really isn't much to say. I would say it's definitely the least interesting of the Persona games, at least in terms of 3, 4, and 5. But it's still good gameplay. But I definitely could be better. But there is one big issue I have with the gameplay. The difficulty. Now, this game isn't really that easy. And honestly, for the most part, the game isn't really that bad until you get to the Tartarus bosses. So every once in a while, once you explore enough of Tartarus, you'll eventually come to an already loaded floor that has a checkpoint where you can teleport to the entrance. And also there's checkpoints as well throughout the floors. But on every floor that has like a checkpoint, there's also a big boss that you have to fight. And usually they're stupid as hell. Especially the one table thing that just uses the almighty attacks. It wipes out my party. It's stupid. I don't really like the bosses in this game that much. Like, there's some good ones, like the ones against Straga, and like the final boss is pretty cool. But honestly, this game's boss fights really aren't that good in my opinion. I don't know. They're the one thing that I would say really do make the game more annoying. Not necessarily in terms of design or anything like that, but just how stupid they can be and how much they can crank up the difficulty to a somewhat unfair advantage, unless you do a lot of grinding. But maybe that's just me being bad at video games. But honestly though, overall with gameplay, it's still really good. Not something I would necessarily go back to though. And control-wise, the game controls fine. And content-wise, it took me about like 40 hours to beat the game, which I guess is fine. I know I don't take as much time on these games as others do, but I still think the game definitely has plenty of content. Although it's not really that easy to find. You're pretty much going to have to get it on either PS2 or PSN on the PlayStation 3, which it is only $10, so completely worth it content-wise. But the music. Oh my, the music. Oh, it is so good. I love the music in this game. There isn't really a lot I have to say about the music, but it's just so good. I love the music so much, especially stuff like Changing Seasons, The Battle for Everyone's Souls, and like in a bunch of other ones. It's just so good. Music in this game is amazing, but it's a given. Persona always has had its good music. But yeah, so moving on to my final thoughts on this game. I quite like this game. Now, I don't know if I would necessarily say that I like it as much as Persona 5, but I liked it more than Persona 4. I feel like Persona 3 really did do a good job at starting the Persona series that we all know and love. That wasn't just, awful gameplay like Persona 1. But anyways, I'm just stalling. Honestly, I think this game is probably my second favorite Persona game, right behind Persona 5, and that really just comes down to the simple fact that I feel like Persona 3 doesn't have the best gameplay. Like, it's obviously lacking some things that later games would have, like controllable party members. Well, again, it's not a big deal. It is a bit of a contrast, especially since Persona 4 Vanilla got rid of that crap. And, I don't know, the story could be a little bit better, like, in the first half. Like, just have a little bit more to it. Like, have more of a reason to actually climb Tartarus. But, whatever. It's not really that big of a deal. So, on my ranking scale from 0 to 10, I give Persona 3 an 8.8 out of 10. I really do like the game, but it definitely could have been a little better. Maybe a remake could happen that can make it better, but honestly, I have absolutely no idea. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, and if you guys want to see more Persona content from me, then make sure to like this video and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of the video, of my review. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.